We are anytime you open your mouth, we're all ears, right? Right, fellow doctors? We are so glad about everything that's been happening with the Made for More book. We have over 400 copies. We have actually, Dr. Una, I think we're inching closer to 500, even more than 500 copies. 1,000. Oh my goodness. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it because I wasn't absolutely sure. But we have made 1,000 copies in week 1. So hands for that. I was one of the 1,000. You know, it is really an amazing thing that has happened in the physician space. With the Made for More book, you know, physicians are finding hope. They're finding, you know, future. They're finding so many different opportunities open up to them. They're seeing themselves in these stories, you know. So this is for the physician community. This event is for the physician community. So we are really excited about that. Thank you, Dr. Una. Thank you, all the contributing authors. Thank you for being so transparent. You know, thank you for your stories. Thank you for letting us know your fears, letting us know your joys and your triumphs, letting us know your process. You know, that is really amazing.
You turn your light on because you can see the right.
So, you know what I'd really love to do? I would really love to kind of know where people are from. I would like to do that so I can make new friends. So I have new places to visit when I visit cities, new people to visit when I visit cities. So let me know where you're from. I see some familiar faces, but also some new faces that I love to get to know. So can you write in the chat, type in the chat where you're from? Let's see if anybody's anywhere. Aiken, South Carolina, yeah? See you. Maryland. Ooh, I might take a trip there. Denver, wonderful. Denver, you guys have to become friends. Chicago, working out of that. Oh, Indian Reservation. That is so powerful. I would love to do something like that. Vermont, currently vacationing in Hawaii. Whaley Gray. Ooh, we're talking about dream life tonight, folks. I think Dr. Whaley Gray is living a dream life. she's got the best of both worlds. She's got the mountains and the beach. So good to see everyone. Now, if you've never met me, my name is Makita. I kind of run Dr. Una's life joyfully. It's such an honor to work with her. I've worked with her now for probably about 12 years. And I can tell you honestly, and I've worked with her in different capacities, I can tell you honestly that she's the real deal. The love and the passion that she has for the physician community oozes out of everything that she does. She pushes herself so much to do more and more. She's constantly thinking, what can I do for the physician community? What can I do to make things easier? What can I do to give them more opportunities? And so we get to hear from her tonight. But you know what? I really would like a Spring Lake, North Carolina. That sounds wonderful. I would really love for us to share some of these amazing things that Dr. Una's going to share tonight. So if you can, I would love for you to just take a moment. I'm going to give you 2 seconds to take a picture and post on social media. It doesn't have to be a picture of the book, but just let people know, hey, I'm at Made for More Live. You know, do a selfie, or if you're more technical than I am and you know how to take a photo with your phone, with your desktop, you can take a photo with your desktop and share it on Facebook and just let everybody know, hashtag Made for More Live, so that more doctors can get on. You know, love for them to get on and see and experience everything that Dr. Una is going to be talking about tonight. She is going to be talking about how to let go of the fear of entrepreneurship. She's going to be talking about how to live that dream life, all of the things that people want to know. So I don't want them to miss it. And I'm going to be, if you see my camera off sometime tonight, it's because I'm going to be checking and scoping for the best post, so I can give away some of Dr. Una's money tomorrow. So gift card for someone tomorrow, whoever has the best post. So hashtag Made for More Live. And I'm thinking I'll probably do more than one person. I think I need to do more than one person. In fact, I am convinced I need to give away more than one gift card, Dr. Una. I'm convinced. We need to give away more than one gift card. So tomorrow, more than one gift card. And please share the word, hashtag Made for More Live. And here's Dr. Una.
All right, everybody. So who's ready? I said the only thing better than reading the book is reading the book and getting to hear from the authors live. And I'm going to be sharing, some strategies and tips and themes that I've noticed as you go all through the book. Like, what are the things that make people successful? So first of all, I want to give a big shout out to the authors of Made for More Live. If you're here, you can raise your hand in the chat or something like that, and so people can shout you out. But congratulations on becoming best-selling authors. Congratulations on sharing your story, so that you can create all these wins in the physician community. I have gotten so many PMs and DMs with people who are like, I'm in tears as I read this. This is exactly what I needed to hear. This is what gives me permission to go on and create my dream life. So the ripple effect of what you've done is like really, really huge, really huge. And for everyone who is on today, I hope you are ready. Okay. I don't know if this is your first time being at my events. My events, they may look like they're free events. They're not your regular run of the mill webinar. You are going to walk away with things that you will literally use to turn your life around, to turn your business around, turn your career around. And you're like, man, me in medicine was like this until I came for Made for More Life. So I want you to lean all in. Today we're going to be talking about how doctors are creating their dream lives. And today we're going to give ourselves all the permission it is to own what it is we really want to do. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at the 3 steps every successful physician entrepreneur needs to take. After that, we're going to be looking at how to mitigate your risk, because a lot of times physicians are not embracing entrepreneurship because of fear, right? Like, what if I fail and all of that? So how to mitigate that risk, right? We're going to talk about how to market. There's no way I host an event without talking about marketing. How to market your brand, your business, without seeming sleazy or slimy or salesy or any of those things. And then, we're going to have one day we're just going to go author after author, and you get to meet them and you get to hear their stories. I really, really, really love stories, because the truth of the matter is, those we find ourselves in them, and they're examples of what is possible, and it's so much easier to just take that next step when you see that other people have. Okay, I always talk about it. I even talked about it in somewhere in the book. And I was like, when I started off, I used to Google like physician entrepreneur, because I'm like, where are these people? Like, where are the fellow crazy people like me? Because people ask you, like, is this not enough? You're a doctor. You have a 6-figure or multiple 6-figure salary. You're doing something like, most of the world can do. You have the house, you have the car. What is your problem? Right? And I had to find other people who had this problem with me so we can dream and we can go forward together. And, so we're going to be hearing a lot of those. And I want you to be in a position to pull out, the lessons from it and all of that. So this is an event I want you to take really seriously. I want you to save the date, like all 5 days. I want you to invite your physician colleagues to join you, because the more of us embrace this, the more of a norm it will become, and the faster we'll turn this whole thing around. I know it seems so dark in the physician community, but please hear me when I say this. It will not always be like this. All right, things are changing. It may not be as obvious, but things are changing. And if you've heard me talk about Vision 2025, you remember that I said we are coming to a time where doctors are going to be the leaders inside and outside the exam room. We are not going to be talking about loss of autonomy and all of those things, because we're going to be in control. We're going to love what we do as doctors, and we will have financial freedom. Okay, so that time is coming, and this is part of the way we make it happen. Okay, so if you're excited, I want to see your emojis in the comments. If you're as excited as I am very excited. I've been waiting for this. Really excited. So if you are, throw up those emojis, throw them up. Hi, Dr. Narissa. Hi, Dr. Kirsten, Dr. Tamara, Dr. Claudia. Yes. Okay. Hi, Dr. Stokes. Dr. Stokes, lead pediatrician at Ivy League Pediatrics. I have the pleasure of working with her. She's amazing. Hi, Dr. Stokes. Okay. So I want to start off. I know I haven't introduced myself, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I want to start off by telling you a story that will kind of help you set the stage to live your dream life. Okay. As doctors, we can create our dream life. We didn't go to medical school because just to do what we're doing now. We had a big plan. Most of us had big plans, but as we went along the way, life beat those plans out of us, right? Like, and we're like, let's be realistic here, and we don't want to be realistic. Okay, that doesn't mean we're crazy, like we're going around and carelessly doing stuff, but we don't want to be realistic. And so I want to give you a little bit of a backstory. My journey, part of my journey started when I was almost at the end of my first year in private practice. So I'd graduated from residency, got my first big job, started six-figure salary. I'm like, what? Nobody could tell me anything, right? I had arrived maybe. And I came to this crossroad because I was like, there's nothing wrong, but I knew there was more. I wasn't burnt out. I had a really great boss. I wasn't doing hospital call. I was really doing 9 to 5 and some mommy call over. Like I had a really good job. My job was, I want to say 10 minutes from my home, so I would go home and do lunch every day. Everything was good. But there was this crossroads, like there's more, like there's something else. Now, I didn't have the Made for More book, so I couldn't tell what something else was. I just knew there was more and I had no idea what it was. And I remember my boss walking up to me and he's like, hey, so we're about to get to the end of our first year and here's a 5-year contract. And I was like, but this is not what I want to do for the next 5 years. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. The thing about the dream life is that it's your life, right? But I was like, there's this itch. I was like, I know there's more. I want to do more. Now, an opportunity came. The problem with opportunities is they always look like problems, right? So while I was there, I had a 5-year contract in hand, had a job that was really great. I had this opportunity to start a practice, right? And it didn't come like someone said, here's a practice, I'm going to hand it to you. It was just a thought. A mentor of mine was like, have you thought about starting your own practice? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like 2 seconds out of residency. Of course, I haven't thought about starting my own practice. But I was looking for more though. And so at that point, I made a decision. And you're going to hear this many, many times today. I made a decision, and the decision was I was going to do a practice and I was going to build a practice because why not? You know? And did I have all the answers? No. Did I think I could pull it off? Not really. I mean, like, I want you to think about it. I was an introverted introvert. I was not somebody who wanted to talk to anybody to ask them for referrals. I could not comprehend paying somebody else a six-figure salary or multiple six-figure salary. I couldn't even comprehend paying MAs and front desk. Like I've told this story many times where when I started my practice, I was the front desk, I was the biller, I was the medical assistant, I was everything. Like literally, I pick up the phone, I'm like, "Thank you for calling Ivy Pediatrics. This is Ella. How can I help you?" Right? And it was so funny. Someone saw my name. It's like, I just have a quick question. Does the doctor have a very thick accent? Will I understand her? I was like, no, I think you'll be okay. This is me, right? But I did all of that because I was so scared of everything. But the point is, I made a decision. I was like, I am going to do this. And I made a commitment that I'm going to dare the fears. I'm going to learn new things. I'm going to do hard things. I'm going to figure it out until I get it. What I had going for me was number one, a decision, and number two, a commitment. That's it. Okay, so eventually we started the practice. And over the course of, a number of years, the practice started doing really well. And I found a doctor who wanted to work 1 day a week. So that was fantastic, right? So she worked on Fridays. I had a long weekend every weekend. It was amazing. And then I came to another crossroads because I was minding my own business. I was in my study minding my own business, and I just had this awareness. This was in 2016, that medicine as we know it is gone. It's never coming back, right? Like there's so many changes that are happening. They seem like underground changes, but they're going to reverse. They're going to change the way we practice medicine forever. Like I came from the era where there were no minute clinics, there were really no urgent cares, there was no, nurse practitioners starting clinics, like none of those things existed, right? And so it just dawned on me, like, it's changed, and if the only thing you can do is doctor, like just the exact way you're doing it now, you're going to be out of luck. So like that's another crossroads. And the decision was, do I want to retool myself so I'll be ready for what is coming? Or do I just want to keep everything the same? Because the easiest thing is just to do what you've always done. And it was scary because, again, introverted introvert, I would never be on camera talking to you. When I went to events, I wouldn't even talk to people one on one. Like I wouldn't do any of those things. I was not a speaker, I was not a writer. I was ashamed of putting my ideas out there because I'm like, what if it's not good? What if people don't like it? What if the haters come for me? Like, I was scared of everything. And I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't even know coaching was a thing. Like, I didn't know anything about anything. But I realized that if I stay the same, a time is coming where it's going to be really hard in medicine. And I wouldn't say that I didn't know, you know? And so I made another decision. And the decision this time was, I'm going to retool myself. I said, if I could no longer see patients, have I made myself skill-wise valuable enough that I can still bring in the same amount of revenue to my clinic, even though I didn't see any patients? That became like the challenge for me. How can I be that kind of CEO? How can I be that kind of leader? What are the other things that I can do? What is the inventory? Like, what is it that I can develop in? I was like, well, I guess I could be a speaker. People get paid for that. I guess I could be a consultant. Like, I have built a successful practice and all of those things. And I had a decision, like, are you going to stay the same? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to create my dream life, right? This is all about that dream life. Am I going to do that? And so I decided, you know what? I, I'm going to do it. What exactly is it and how does it work? I don't know. And many of you are at that point where you're like, I know there's more. I want to do more. I want to own my own practice. I want to take this coaching thing to a new level. Or you're even like, I've built this. This is really successful, but I want to scale it. Whatever that is, you're at a crossroad just like I was, just like the doctors you're going to hear from, how they were. And I was like I have to say yes to this. And so I made another decision. This is what I'm going to do. And then I made another commitment. I'm going to figure this out. Yes, I'm scared. Yes, there's a lot I don't know, but that's fine. My commitment is I will figure it out and I will get it done. And that's when I started investing in myself to learn how to be a speaker. Started investing in myself how to learn how to be a consultant, and all of those things. Got on stage. I almost died, people, but I'm here. Getting on stage, speaking to people. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? But I embraced all of that to come to this place where I'm able to live life the way I want to. I'm able to practice medicine the way I want to. Decision, commitment. Okay. Now, in 2020, we came to yet another crossroad because I have the private practice. At this point, I have EntreMD and I'm serving doctors and helping and all of that. And there's this other thought that came. Doctors don't have a business education. Like, how incapacitating is it that you have all this skill, but you don't have a business system around it? So people can take advantage of you. You may not know how to monetize it. You may not know how to do any of those things. And it's a global problem, but to start, it's a national problem. I'm like, there are a million physicians that have a really high level education but know nothing about business, and that is the problem. That is the problem that we're having here. And part of my dream life would be, I get to solve that problem. Now, we're talking about a problem for a million people, right? Like, that doesn't even make sense that you would think that's something within the realm of possibility to solve. But again, it's a decision and a commitment. So 2020, then I had the opportunity, again, like, start the EntreMD business school. And let's put this in perspective, okay? Harvard has a business school, okay? Emory has a business school. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, you started one practice and you've helped people start some businesses, and now you're going to start a whole business school? Like, who is fooling who? What are you even talking about? But that's the thing. There is the okay life. There is this is what everybody else is doing life. And there's the dream life, right? There's the dream life. And I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where the doctors would come from. I didn't even think people would like it. I was like, oh my goodness, people look at me like I'm crazy. Of course, there are people who look at me like a complete sellout who's out there to get people's money and manipulate doctors and take advantage of the fact that they don't have a business education. All of those things, right? But I had an opportunity, and it was up to me to say, I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. And I'm so grateful that I made the decision. I'm going to do it. I made the commitment. I'll do whatever I have to pull it off. And here we are, right? And so I just want to give you a picture of what that looks like at this point. And I want to invite, and then I'm going to invite everybody to own their dream life and decide they're going to build it. Nobody's going to do that for us. Nobody's going to do that for us. But when we do that, we will inspire other people and we'll give other people permission to do the same for themselves. Okay? All right. So since 2020, we have served over 230 doctors in the EntreMD Business School, help them either start, grow, or scale businesses. So their businesses from startup all the way up to 7 million that are there. We have 47 doctors who are now, best-selling authors. And it's been so impactful that we now have hashtags like EBS for life. So a doctor in the school was talking about a meeting she was having with her husband and their accountant. And I'm sure it's asking, okay, so what is this line item? EntreMD Business School, what is that? And her husband's like, that's a non-negotiable business investment right there. That's her husband, not even her, right? And then on a personal side, I was able to take a year-long sabbatical. And because, with my kids in the beginning, when I started the business, I spent a lot of time away from home. But now I was able to take a year off and spend with them. I homeschool my older two because I'm like, I don't want them to just learn the things in school. I want them to learn that. I want them to learn business. I want them to learn leadership. I want them to understand real estate. I want to be able to take them on conferences when I go. I was just at a conference with Terry Savelfoy and Ed Milet, and they were both there. Like they got to be part of that experience. I'm loving my journey as a physician. And truly, I'm living a life that is so meaningful to me because of the impact that it's having, which for me is my dream life. Okay, your dream life may be, being on a vacation in Hawaii with a yellow flower in your hair like Dr. Whaley Gray. But it doesn't matter. And so this is where I wanted to bring us to. As doctors, can we decide that we are done following the status quo? We are done with this is the way doctors have always done it. We are done with the narrative of being stuck and we can't find our way out and we don't have a Can we just decide that we are going to rewrite our stories and we are going to practice medicine on our terms and we are going to live life on our terms? Because I told you all that to tell you that I didn't have it all figured out and I was scared and I was an introvert and I'm a very private person and I'm the last person who should be doing any of these things that I'm doing. It all started with a decision and a commitment. Like I am deciding that I'm going to create a career that I love, and I am going to practice medicine in a way that I love, and I'm going to create a life that I love. And so that's the decision and the commitment that I'm going to do what it takes because there is fear to overcome. There are new skills to learn. There are new behaviors to adopt. There are things to let go of. There are relationships to bring on. There are relationships to offload. There are people that are going to look at you weird, and it's okay. But I am committed to my decision. Okay? So I'm going to bring on a number of doctors here, but before we go there, I want you to let me know in the chat. I've decided and I've committed. Like Both of those. Both of those, because nothing else works. I could have started with tactical stuff. These are 7 ways to do this, 5 ways to do that, 3 million ways to do that. But those don't matter if you don't have a decision. Those don't matter if you're not committed. I have even been doing a study, like the people in the EntreMD Business School who get the biggest results. What is it about them? It's the same thing. They made a decision, they're committed. So when the hard times show up, you don't quit. When the things you don't say, I don't know how to do that. Like, you learn how to do that because you're committed. But we have one life. This is not a rehearsal. This is the life. Like, it's our own masterpiece. And in the EntreMD Business School, we decided 2023 is our masterpiece year. Like, we're gonna make, careers, businesses, lives that are masterpieces. Nobody's coming to do that for us. This is our decision. This is our decision. Okay? So I love that some of you are owning it in the comments, but that's what we have to do. Nothing else matters till this is done. I'm not going to say, oh, this is the way it's always been. This sucks. Nobody wants to help me. This, that. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're making a decision. We're taking matters into our own hands. We're creating what we want. Okay? So I have 12 people. Do I have anybody else who's like, yeah, decided, committed? I'm going to dare my fears. I'm going to learn new things. I'm going to expand my circle. I'm going to explore ideas that, I wrote in my journal 15 years ago, but haven't seen the light of day. I'm going to set those boundaries. I'm going to ask for what I want. I'm going to negotiate. I'm going to do all those things. I'm going to do them scared, but I'm going to do them. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay. So now I want to bring on a few docs, and I'm doing this very intentionally. Okay. I want to bring on a few docs because I want you to hear them. I want you to get these ideas. I want you to learn the lessons from them. I want you to see what is possible. We right here in this room, we are the examples of what is possible. And let me tell you, this is such a historic moment in time, because for everyone here who makes a decision and commits, there are people who are going to be impacted by that. And those people are going to impact other people who impact other people. That ripple effect we're looking for in the physician community, we're creating it now. We're creating it right now. That is exactly what is happening right now. Okay. So I want to bring up Dr. Whaley Gray. She's a phenomenal physician. She is a proud student of the EntreMD Business School. I think she's one of those hashtag EBS for Life people. And she is the best-selling co-author of the Made for More book. So let's throw up some emojis here and let us welcome Dr. Whaley Gray. Hi, Dr. Gray. Oh, hang on. Maybe, do I need to unmute you? Let me see. Hang on. I may have done something.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now. That was all me. Welcome. Okay, so you are like the poster child for, living life on your terms. Tell us where you are.
So I am currently in Haleakala National Park in Maui, one of the islands in Hawaii.
Yeah, we're not mad or jealous or anything. We're like so excited for you. Okay, so thank you so much for taking the time, on your vacation to come, talk to us. But take a moment and briefly introduce yourself to the audience before we get into the questions I have for you.
Sure. So I usually live in Vermont, but it's January and it's really cold there. So this is our vacation. I am what Dr. Una calls an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur. So my intrapreneur is I am a hospital employed physician. I work in a critical access rural hospital in Vermont, right near the Canadian border. I work as a sleep physician. And I am also the founder of Dare to Dream Physician, where I do life planning with clients. And I also have a weekly podcast with the same name.
Well, thank you for that. And I love it. She's like, I'm an entrepreneur, and all of that. Now, so tell me, You know, because you just had this book and all of this stuff. How does it feel, best-selling author? I'm just curious.
It feels really amazing. It's really it's you know, the my tagline for life is dare to dream. And so when Dr. Una says, you know, dare your fears and doing all of these things, it is really amazing. And I would say, you know, 3 years ago or 5 years ago, all the things that I wrote in the book and the sequel to what's happened in my life since is just very, very hard to imagine back then.
So take us to that spot just for a second, right? Because sometimes, you know, if someone hears your story like where you are now, it's like you're like super special. And you are special, right? But it's like you're different and nobody can really have access to what you have access to. So talk to us before you came into this made for more, living life on your terms kind of life. What was life like then?
Yeah, actually, I'll give you three examples of, you know, sort of stumbling blocks or challenges that I had in my life, and I wonder, like, how is this possible to sort of live in alignment with what I really want? So one was about 5 years ago, I discovered that my dad had metastatic stage 4 cancer. And I'm an only child and I live in Vermont. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. So with driving, it takes about 10 or 11 hours. And I had 3 young kids at the time. And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? How am I going to be there for my parents? Because that's really important to me to be there for my parents, especially at the end of their life, and for my mom, as you know, she's helping my dad. And so that was example number one. And I thought, this is going to be impossible. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to have to give up something, either my commitment to, you know, be there for my parents, or give up my job, or you know, something like that. And I just felt really torn. Another example was, let's see, maybe about 2 years ago, I thought I was, you know, in my dream job. I had moved my family once again, you know, to where my first attending job. And, you know, my husband was super excited to live where we were finally. And, you know, I felt like I was growing roots for my family in this new location. And all of a sudden there was a leadership change at my hospital where I worked. And I no longer felt that way. And I thought, oh no, you know, we moved here. And finally, you know, I thought that this is it, and maybe this is not it, and do I have to move again? And it was very, very painful, really painful realization that what am I going to do? I'm only, you know, 5 years as an attending. I trained, you know, over 10 years to be where I am. And, you know, do I just need to leave medicine so I can escape feeling like I was the victim every day of, you know, whatever was going to happen in circumstances that are out of my control? So that was, you know, example number two. And example number three, this was a more fun one, especially because where I am now, I was, I think 39, kind of planning, you know, I'm now 42, but I was sort of planning my 40th birthday. And this is before the pandemic. And I sort of sitting there, I remember telling my husband, I was like, you know, it'd be really cool if I could go to Hawaii, you know, to celebrate, maybe not on my birthday, but, you know, just to celebrate this milestone year in my life. And at the time we had, you know, our kids were really young. I didn't even want to be on a 1 hour plane ride with them, much less, you know, 12 plus hours to come to Hawaii. But I just thought it would be so cool to be here. I just had this sort of like intuition that this would be a really wonderful, sort of like a life-changing place to visit. So those are three examples of, you know, things like I literally, when these thoughts or these ideas came, I felt like I couldn't do them. And sometimes, you know, we each have that, right? Like it doesn't have to be those examples, but we each have these thoughts that come up that, you know, maybe whispers, because we're almost afraid to recognize what what it is that we really want, because we're so afraid that we can't get it.
That's a really nice picture. Thank you for painting that for us. And I do want you to then take the time to show us what life is like now, because I think it's really important for people to see that we don't have to experience what we're all experiencing in medicine, right? Like that doesn't need to be. So talk to us about what work looks like all this stuff, like what does the after look like? Where it's really like like if the version of you that was 38 saw this, they're like, oh my goodness, that's a dream, but you're living the dream. So what does that dream look like?
Yeah. Yeah, so about 6 months ago, my dad really outlived sort of, the prognosis that he had. But he did come to his end, sort of like the end of his life this past summer. And I was able to spend 6 weeks. I was able to drive my kids down um, 11 hours all by myself. I can't believe I did that. And then I was able to spend 6 weeks at the end of my dad's life, and then stayed another extra week after he passed to help with his funeral, to organize his funeral. And that was, this is one of those things where, of course, it's depressing to go through that, but I will always cherish that time that I have. I mean, that's all the time that I had with my dad, and I was there, and I saw him, have his last breath, and it's just, and my kids were right there. And that was just the most amazing experience. I'm so grateful. And I made it work. I didn't have to quit my job. I made it work. I just kept telling people at work, how important this is for me. And they understand. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere in Vermont. And they said, I want to be there for my family. And, sometimes you get lucky too. I at that time, I didn't know, when he first got diagnosed, I didn't know that the pandemic was coming, that telehealth was going to be an option. And so that, sometimes you get lucky too, but really, having that and stating that intention, like, this is what I want to do, and recognizing it and making space for it. So that helped really have that wish come true. And then the other one with work, I actually, I got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to quit, and I think I'm just going to quit medicine. And I attended this non-medical workshop, because I'm like, if I'm going to quit medicine, I have to figure out what I'm going to do instead. And so I attended this first non-medical workshop, of course on Zoom, because it was the pandemic at the time, and it was a life planning workshop where I, for the first time ever, was able to sort of sit and verbalize what was it in life that I really, just like I'm doing now, but it was not something that I was used to doing before. And I finally realized that I love medicine. Why would I ever quit? I spent so much time training for this. I gave up so much in life to train for this, and I love it. And there's no way that I would quit because of somebody that just, came into the leadership at a place where I was working. And when I realized that, I thought, what is there to lose if I just stay where I am? Because I did ask my husband, like, do you want to move? And he really didn't. I didn't want to move either. So I said, I'm just going to stay exactly the same job, and let's try to make it work. And I did. And I was, I wasn't as afraid to speak up anymore. I just became a different person at work. I started taking some leadership positions, and actually started working with this one leader that I thought was the reason why my life was miserable. And I was able to bring initiatives to the hospital, including bringing physician coaching. And this same person, who I thought was my enemy, actually, agreed to pay for this, for all the physicians at the hospital. So even today at my hospital, because of me sort of, asking for this, every physician and associate clinician has a coaching benefit every year, where we can get up to 6 coaching sessions with a physician coach. And, that was started at my hospital. Another initiative was I asked for a scribe when I had to step up and have more responsibilities in my job. I said, well, how am I going to how am I going to make this work? You're asking me to do more, but, I don't want to see less patients, because that's the part I like about my job. So how do we make this work? So I asked, but nobody at my hospital had a scribe. At least the physicians didn't. The CEOs and the executives have, all have their own executive assistants. So they all had scribes, but the physicians didn't. And after a lot of, going back and forth and, negotiating, they went for it. And so I became the first physician that I know of at my hospital to get a scribe, which was life-changing. It was so amazing. But what's really more amazing is, about a year later, they actually opened it up to, any physician or associate clinician who wanted one could get one. It was just a benefit. And so again, changing my experience at the hospital by advocating for my needs and advocating for really, what helps me shine and helps me do the best work that I can as a physician, and then changing the culture for others that are there. So that's, the sequel to the second example. And the last part, I'm sitting in Hawaii, and this is my 4th day here, and oh, it is just so amazing. And again, it was just setting that intention. I couldn't even imagine, taking my kids on the plane for that long, but I made it work. I actually wasn't playing alone with them for a while, and then my husband joined us, and it is just it's sometimes you have this voice like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I did this? And if you listen to that voice and you just follow through it and you take the next step, because when I thought of, well, I want to quit medicine because I'm so miserable at my job, I didn't think that one day I was going to change, everyone at my hospital who wanted a scribe to get a scribe because of me. But if you just take that next little step and keep going, you end up living your dream life. And that's, we all owe it to ourselves, to really, as Dr. Una says, to decide and to commit to live our dream life, because we only do have this one life. And I was just, at the beach yesterday. I was this amazing beach with the highest waves I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, wow, this, it's like sometimes you see something and you can't unsee it anymore, right? And I'm like, there's so much beauty right here. And I saw this group of tourists, and they were so cute. There was this old couple, and this woman was kind of in a walker, and her husband was, also sort of walking slowly, but not in a walker. And it was just the sweetest moment to see this old couple, look at the same scenery that I was looking at, but knowing that, I'm so glad that they're there, because there are some people who just never get to, look at this beauty and live that dream. And so each of us, we may not be in a walker yet, or maybe never, but we know that our life is limited. So we are all going to eventually not be in this world. And so while we're here, let's make the most of our life, and let's live that dream.
Okay, guys, I would just say throw up emojis because that was so good, right? I mean, like, think about hating medicine and wanting to quit to the point where, like, I love it and I'm thriving and I'm setting the stage for others in my organization to thrive as well. Like, how cool is that, right? That's the ripple effect of one example. And Dr. Whaley Gray saw it saying, I love that your chapter in the book. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Now, you are somebody who decided and you committed and you've been doing all of these things. And one of the things you've been doing as far as your commitment goes is that you've been in EBS, like you're what we call an EBS elder at this point, at this point, right? So talk to me a little bit about how that, and we'll keep that brief so we can bring on Dr. Tumor, but what role that has played in this whole process of deciding and committing and choosing life on your terms and all of that.
Yeah, I think the main thing that EBS taught me was, if you feel like you're fearing something and you're about to go do something that you're really scared of, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Because if you never do anything you're scared of, you're just going to be exactly where you were. You're not doing anything different, right? It's hard to reach your dreams, because usually when we dream, it's something different. It's a vision that we have. That's not what's in front of us right now. And so in order to get to this vision, which most people will think is impossible, you have to do something that's scary, right? And you have to step out. You have to dare your fears. You have to be bold. And I say this all the time, one of the biggest regrets that people have on their deathbeds is that they weren't bold enough to be themselves, right? To do things that are true to themselves. And so we all have that choice now, is to dare our fears and to do it anyway.
All righty, you guys heard her. Dare your fears, do it anyway. Fear is part of the journey. Where there's success, there's first fear. Love it. All right, Dr. Whaley Gray, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for taking your eyes off the beach for a little bit to share your story with us. We'll be looking for pictures online. Okay, guys, she has a podcast, Dare to Dream Physician. So you definitely want to check that out. Love it. Okay. So let us bring up none other than the amazing Dr. Tumor. Dr. Tumor, I might need to unmute you. Give me a second. Okay. The amazing Dr. Tumor.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing well. Getting over a cold, so I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little like my voice is a bit bass right now, but
It's a bass voice. We love
I already have a deep voice, and then you add a cold on top of it. It's like, oh my gosh.
All right, so I will have you briefly introduce yourself to everybody so they'll understand why we're so excited that you're on here.
Okay. Well, my name is Dr. Catherine Tumor, and I am a family medicine and community health physician and founder and CEO of Health, Wellness, and Weight Loss Centers, which uses health and wellness to optimize weight loss and then optimizes weight loss using very targeted health and wellness measures for people who are overwhelmed and just feel like they're at the end of their rope. And that's what I do.
And that's what she does. And she's so phenomenal. You should see, like, people talking about, I lost 50 pounds, I've kept it off. I lost 100, I kept it off. Like all kinds of stuff. Okay. So, yeah, now I'm just curious, right? So, congratulations, best-selling author. Okay.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
Feels great.
It feels great.
Feels great.
How did it feel when you read your chapter? I mean, you wrote it, but then you read it again.
When I read it, my first thought was, wow, this is really good. And I'm very proud. My daughter, who is a graduate in comparative literature, also read it. And she was like, Mom, I didn't know you could write like this. And I was like, well, where do you think you got it from?
Ooh, okay. Okay.
She just
well,
laughed. She was like, my college degree. No, but she was everyone in my family's been very impressed.
oh, that's
And
so
not
good.
surprised, but impressed. And which is nice to know that they expect these type of things from me.
From you. Okay. That is amazing. All right.
Mhm.
So I want us to talk about, because you're further along in your journey, and I mean your life is just, I consider it a masterpiece life, but I want you to take us back to before this. Like, so let's talk
Mhm.
pre EBS, pre all of that. Maybe your experience was closer to what a lot of people are having in medicine, for instance. What did that look like? What's your backstory?
Well, initially, I was actually out of medicine for almost 10 years because of a health condition. And some of you may know my story, but I was obese. I was quite obese. I'm 5 feet tall, and I was about 220 plus pounds. I was on insulin as a diabetic. And then a month after my daughter was born, I went into congestive heart failure. And at the time, I was told I had a 50% chance of living 5 years. Mind you, this was a year and a half out of residency. So I just thought, that's it. All this work I've put in, everything I've done in my life has come to nothing. But then I thought, I have a toddler and a newborn, and I wanted to live for them. And so I started focusing on my health, and surprisingly couldn't get a lot of help to do that. So I ended up creating my own program and then just kind of honing it over the years. But when I finally was able to go back into medicine, and even then I could only go back part-time, my cardiologist just still would not clear me to go full-time. I tried to use my program that I reversed my diabetes with. I was off insulin. I had lost, at that point, about 60 pounds. I've lost another 45 since, but I couldn't use it. I didn't have I wasn't given the resources. I wasn't given the time. I knew it worked because I was living proof it worked, but I couldn't help anyone with that process. And rather than getting the help I needed, I was just having more and more work piled on me because I enjoyed my job. I loved community medicine. I was working with underserved people who were the sickest of the sick in a county where we were extremely underserved, one of the poorest in the state. And but rather than being rewarded for my dedication, I was being given more and more work. And then it got to the point where my health started failing again, and I had to stop. But I didn't want to stop altogether. I knew I had to stay. I knew that not practicing medicine, that would kill me faster than actually practicing medicine. And so I needed to figure something out. And so I decided to open a micro practice and just figure it out. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I was given an opportunity. A friend had a small office and was leaving the state, and she essentially handed me her business. Now, mind you, she wasn't a physician. It was a weight loss um, business. I never intended on being a weight loss doctor, even though that's how I turned my health around. That's not what I wanted to be. Um, but I took it as a sign. And so I just started off low and slow and worked part-time at a urgent care center to fund my micro office. And then I did that until my micro office itself became viable until COVID hit. And in 1 week, my father passed away on a Friday. That Tuesday, everything shut down in the country. And that Friday, I had to close my office, state mandate. And I crawled into bed for 2 weeks while converting the rest of my business online. Fortunately, I had already started some of the digitizing of my process. And so really only took me, in under 2 weeks, I had completely converted from brick and mortar to an online weight loss service. But then what happened is that my business boomed because suddenly I went from being local to global. And all the people who had been following me, all the people who had been hearing me talk about what I do, all the people who knew me and watched my transformation suddenly had access. And I actually, it was a bit overwhelming, to be honest. And quite frankly, if fortunately, I had already been working with Dr. Una. Had I not been, I don't know where I would have been, because I was just overwhelmed and scared. And but I knew my business, I knew my information, and I knew I was good at it. And that's what kept me going.
How many of you would like that kind of confidence? I knew my business. I knew I was good at what I was doing, and that's what kept me going. Okay, now, so talk to us about, like, before your practice started booming, because booming is kind of, where you are. Were there any, because inquiring minds want to know, were you born this way, right? Or did you have any fears, or did you have any hangups when you were starting or growing? And what did you do to overcome those?
Um, I've always been relatively confident, and I don't generally scare easily, but this terrified me. I didn't know much about business. I mean, over time, I've learned that, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, which I never really realized. Of course, now I hear all the stories and all that, but at the time, I really didn't know much of anything. Um, and but so what I knew is I'm very good at knowing what I don't know. And I'm always very afraid of not knowing what I don't know. And so I did what I feel is the smartest thing I've ever done, and that was get a coach. And that really saved me, because I felt like I wasn't going it alone, and that every time I had a question, and every time I had doubts, I did have Dr. Una to consult. And then the business school. I mean, now it's just like, it's like a commonwealth, as we call it, of knowledge and information and experiences. So, I mean, there is no question that I had that I can't ask and get an answer. But I think my greatest fear really was succeeding. Honestly, I was really afraid of succeeding, mainly because I was worried that it would affect my health if I started getting busier. I was worried that it would take time away from my family. That means everything to me. I mean, they're my motivation for everything. My parents were getting older. My father had just passed away at 90. My mother was just turned 90 also. My in-laws were, my father-in-law was in his going into quickly approaching his 90s. And I was worried that I wouldn't be available to help people as they needed me because my family meant everything. But at the same time, I knew that I couldn't just sit and be, I wasn't a very good housewife. I can tell you that. For the 9 years I wasn't practicing medicine, I wasn't very good at it. So medicine is my forte. So I knew that's where I needed to stay, but I wanted to have the best of both worlds. And I was worried that if I got too successful in one, I would fail at the other.
Okay. And I know that now you're thriving at both.
Yes,
You're rocking both worlds.
I am. The more successful I became in business, the more time I had for my family. And now, in fact, I was just talking to someone today, because as I've started to grow and understand more of what I'm doing and able to consolidate what I'm doing, my time is increasing. As I'm growing my team, my time is increasing, my revenue is increasing, my confidence increasing. A lot of what's happening is become so passive that and so organic. I haven't advertised for my group right now, and still every day get 3 or 4 people enrolling, and I haven't even done my final push. For those of you who know, my father-in-law just recently passed away. I spent the last few months really focusing on him and helping prepare the family. He was on hospice. I've done a lot of hospice work. So I've been preparing the family for what was coming, and was very fortunate that at any moment I could transfer what I was doing to my in-laws' house, work from there, or shift everything around because I had full control of my schedule and had I feel the honor of being able to hold his hand and sing to him as he passed away. I could not have done that if I had been an employed physician. I would have been at work at someone else, or I would have had to take time off. I would have had to lose, some type of income, but instead I was there and present completely, because I had a team backing me up, and I had, so I could just focus all my emotions and all my efforts into my family while everything else was still being taken care of. That's priceless. I can't put a price on that.
We can't put a price on that either. Okay, people, let's throw up some emojis. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking us behind the scenes, and thank you for your vulnerability, because you didn't have to, but you did, and that's a gift.
Well, I think that
that's a gift for us.
That it doesn't matter. Death makes you realize what's truly, truly, truly important. And when you realize that what your calling is in life still feeds into that same importance, and that you're able to adjust as needed for the most important things of your life and of death, there's nothing more. I mean, what else is there?
What else is there? Okay, people, like I said, throw up those emojis. Thank you, Dr. Whaley Gray. Thank you, Dr. Tumor, for sharing your stories. Again, I'll say this 1,000 times. Congratulations on becoming a best-selling author. Had the book upside down. Congrats. Okay, people, let me know in the chat, was this a valuable use of an hour? Because for me, I'm like, listen, guys, we're not rolling over and playing dead anymore. We're not saying what will be will be. We are not saying, this is the way medicine is. And you can see from my story, from Dr. Gray's story, from Dr. Tumor's story, these are all different. Okay, so this 5-day event is 1,000% for you. Okay, so this is day 1. And the reason why we started from here is, if this is not right, there's nothing else we say on the other days that matter. We decide, we commit. We decide we're going to live life and practice medicine on our terms. We commit to do what is necessary. They all talked about fears. They all talked about that, but didn't matter. They still did it. And here they are. And truly, it's just the beginning for both of them, actually, and me, right? Okay. So now, Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the 3 steps every successful physician entrepreneur should be taking, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you saved all the dates, and I will have more stories for you, right? You get to meet 2 more authors. Okay, so we're going to do that. Block off the time, and then take this and share it with another doc. Okay, like because the thing, you hear both people talking about how they did this and the impact it's having on others. We are the people who are trailblazers, who are, we're opening up a new path, right? So yes, we're going to come and we're going to get so much value, and our lives as individuals will change. But we also have the opportunity to be the people who are the cavalry, who are bringing change to medicine. Okay, so we've complained a lot about it. We've fussed about it. We've posted about it in Facebook groups. We've done all that. But how about now we decide to be part of the solution? That is exactly what we're doing here. So I want you to take this. I want you to share it with another doctor and say, hey, I need you to come with me 6 p.m. Okay, replays are going to go out later tonight. And this is the way I want us to end this. Okay, I want you to put in the chat, I decide and I commit to my dream life. I decide and I commit to my dream life. Okay, I decide and I commit to my dream life. I'll do what it takes. I'm not rolling over and playing dead anymore. I'm not saying what will be anymore. I'm not doing any of that. I'm deciding, and beyond deciding, I'm committing. I will dare those fears. I will learn what I need to learn. I will do those hard things. I'm not gonna crawl back in fear. Okay? Yes? Okay. Who's gonna be here tomorrow with their physician colleagues? Who's gonna be here tomorrow with their physician colleagues? Don't get half of your education, actually a fifth of your education. This is 1 of 5. And it's only gonna get better and better and better. Okay? Beautiful. I love Dr. Chia. She's like, beyond deciding, I'm committing. I love it. Okay. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to let you guys go now. Okay. Replay is going to be up in about an hour. And I'm going to see you 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Okay. You've decided, you've committed. So you can go write out some things now. Talk about how that life is going to look. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.